And it has to do with a recent string of sensitive intelligence leaks that some fear could be endangering our national security. So now we have a fresh controversy that's brewing after Fox News asked House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi if she thinks there's a culture shift that has occurred after 9/11 and that has led to more intel leaks. Here is how she responded.
I don't subscribe, though, to the idea that there's a preponderance of leaks. I don't know that to be the case. And that's why I'm pleased that there are two very respected U.S. attorneys looking into the matter.
All right, so let's give it some attention. Let's bring in House New Hampshire Senator Kelly Ayotte. She's a Republican. She's a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senator, welcome. Good to have you here this morning.
Thanks, Martha. Appreciate it.
So you heard Nancy Pelosi. She said that she does not subscribe to the idea that there's a preponderance of leaks. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's clear that Nancy Pelosi lives in an alternative universe because we have already heard from the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Dianne Feinstein, that these leaks are the worst that she has seen in 11 years on the Intelligence Committee, and also that she described it as an avalanche of leaks. And of course, you already played the clip from the commander of our Special Operations Command, Admiral McCraven, who said that sooner or later these leaks will cost us lives. And so obviously Nancy Pelosi is not paying attention to those who know the most in the intelligence community. So again, I think alternative universe for her.
Yeah, you know, I want to play General Jack Keane, who's a retired four-star, was on our show yesterday talking to Bill. And we asked him about McCraven's comments, and it was very interesting, his reaction to how serious this is based on McCraven's comments. Let's listen to what he had to say.
I don't know what their motivation is. I read the same thing other people read and speculate about political motivation, but I can't speak for that. I don't know who did the leaks, and I don't know what's driving them. All I do know is I agree totally with what Admiral McCraven is saying, that it compromises our national security and it puts people's lives at risk who are out there every day.
He also went on to say that McCraven is somebody who is a man of few words and that he does not do this kind of thing lightly. Where are we with this? I mean, where does this go from here, Senator?
Here's where we are. There needs to be, the Attorney General of the United States has to appoint a special counsel. It is not sufficient, given the nature of these leaks and given that the indications from both the New York Times story, the Newsweek stories, that they have come from close advisors to the White House. And in fact, one incident was reported in the Situation Room itself. The Attorney General needs to have an independent investigation of this, not two U.S. attorneys that report to him. And I also call on, the president and the vice president in the Plame situation called for independent investigations. The vice president called for special counsel. We can't be hypocritical. This is too important for our country, and they need to act now. We're not going to let this go because we're jeopardizing our relationship with our allies. And we are putting American lives and others that work with us at risk.
Yeah, I mean, how likely is the scenario that you just painted, that as an outside prosecutor is brought on to investigate this? The White House seems very satisfied with what they've done, and that's to appoint two U.S. attorneys to get together and to come up with a report. And, I mean, my guess is we're not going to see that report till after the election. Am I wrong about that? Is there any indication that we'll see it before?
Martha, I don't think you're wrong at all. I think the Attorney General, who's been an embattled Attorney General, obviously we know about the vote in the House earlier this year, is blocking all the information on Fast and Furious. People do not have confidence that this investigation reporting to him that we'll get to the bottom of it. And it's too important for our national security to let this go. I mean, to have the chairwoman of the...
What can you do is my question. I mean, the White House says that they're dealing with it and that they've got an ongoing investigation. So is there any other recourse?
Well, the other recourse is, of course, we've already called on the Attorney General to appoint a special counsel. We've introduced legislation to call upon him to do that. But also in the House, I think congressional oversight, we should have congressional hearings on this, a congressional investigation if the Attorney General is going to fail to act, because this is too important when lives are at stake and our national security is at stake. We can't allow this to happen again.
All right, Senator Ayotte, very good to talk to you as always. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Martha.
We'll see you soon.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Take care.
You too.
Coming up, a raging inferno.